need to expose a GitHub client method as an AI tool while keeping all implementation logic in one place. We'll examine the ideal structure for client methods that will be transformed into FastMCP tools. You'll see how Async delegation, type annotations, and clean parameter design create the perfect foundation for tool transformation without requiring any wrapper functions or code duplication.
Async def get repository. Owner, annotated SDR, the owner of the repository. Repo, annotated SDR, the name of the repository. Repository. Get basic information about a GitHub repository. Return await GitHub client. Get repository, owner equals owner, repo equals repo.
This demonstrates the foundation for tool transformation, where a cleanly structured function serves as the basis for later adaptation. The pattern relies on creating well-defined, self-contained functions with explicit typing and documentation that can be safely wrapped without modification. The distinctive aspect here is how the function's design, using async I/O, type annotations, and clear delegation, makes it transformation-ready while remaining a normal Python function. The approach works by establishing a clear contract through type hints and documentation that transformation layers can later build upon. The async nature enables non-blocking operations, while the annotated types provide metadata without runtime overhead. By keeping the core logic focused on a single responsibility, delegating to GitHub client, and avoiding framework-specific code, the function becomes a reusable building block that can be adapted for different contexts. This pattern solves the problem of creating maintainable integrations between technical APIs and consumer-facing interfaces. The clean separation between implementation and interface concerns means you can expose the same function with different schemas, descriptions, or behaviors for different consumers. The trade-off is the initial discipline required to structure functions this way, but it pays off when you need to adapt the same logic for multiple use cases without duplication. Let's break it down line by line.
Async def get repository.
This defines an async function for non-blocking GitHub API calls. The structure, using annotated types for metadata and clean delegation to GitHub client, makes it ideal for later transformation into an AI-callable tool via tool from tool. The async await pattern ensures scalability by preventing thread starvation during network requests.
Owner, annotated SDR, the owner of the repository.
This uses annotated SDR to attach metadata to the owner parameter while maintaining SDR as the runtime type. The metadata becomes part of the API schema for documentation and tooling, improving discoverability without runtime overhead. The clean separation, a sync function with typed parameters delegating to GitHub client, makes this ideal for tool transformation. The pattern ensures the original function remains usable, as is while being easily wrappable for AI automation contexts.
Repo, annotated SDR, the name of the repository.
This uses annotated SDR to attach human-readable metadata to the repository name parameter. The annotation enhances IDE tooltips and API documentation while maintaining clean runtime behavior, making the function self-documenting without adding validation logic. The simple string-to-string mapping keeps it ideal for later transformation into an AI-callable tool.
Repository.
This return type annotation specifies the function returns a repository object. It enables static type checking while clearly documenting the expected response structure for API consumers. The type hint works with the annotated parameters to create a complete, self-documenting function signature that's ideal for tool transformation.
Get basic information about a GitHub repository.
This docstring documents the function's purpose for both developers and tooling systems. It powers IDE auto-completion, appears in generated API documentation, and becomes the tool description if exposed to AI models. The clear, concise language follows Python best practices for maintainable, self-documenting code.
Return await GitHub client. Get repository, owner equals owner, repo equals repo.
This async function delegates the GitHub API call to a pre-configured GitHub client, using await to maintain non-blocking execution. The clean separation of concerns, combined with annotated type hints and a descriptive docstring, makes it ideal for later transformation into an AI-callable tool via tool from tool. Though this example shows the original function before wrapping. The client handles authentication, rate limiting, and connection management, keeping the business logic focused and reusable. Async repository pattern. This function demonstrates the ideal structure for FastMCP tool transformation, using async await for non-blocking HTTP calls and annotated types for parameter metadata without runtime overhead. The docstring serves double duty as both IDE documentation and the eventual tool description in the transformed interface. Clean delegation to GitHub client. Get repository maintains separation between interface definition and implementation logic.
The function that does nothing special becomes extraordinary through transformation.